so we'll do that part too. So I'm going to show you, nobody's seen this part before. Years back, I did put it on Facebook. Had a little bit of response on some things people didn't know and didn't realize. And I'm the kind of person I'd look at that lighthouse. I want to know, why is the windows where they are? Why is those diamonds where they are? I just love to investigate that kind of stuff. So I've done my own investigation. I'm not under I'm not signing any contract or waivers or anything. It's just legal. Matter of fact, I quit the fire look out that's getting me until midnight. After that, I'm no longer the lighthouse keeper. So I'll be careful how long to stay here. Halloween was yesterday, so the still coming comes around. And I won't show you working there and look like a thing. So anyway, glad you all are here. And there's a lot happened. Get everything different. There's a lot happened over to the lighthouse, to the Cape, way before we, us people, came along. So we had a lot of explorers. We're going to talk about 4 of them to get started. So the first one actually was in 1524. I'm not going to get his name right. Ranzano, something like that. He was Italian. And so he came over exploring the East Coast. And if you'll notice, most of these explorers come in from the south. And basically what's happening, they are following the current. It goes around below the Atlantic and comes up the East Coast. And when it gets up against us, it's called the Gulf Stream. Okay? And sometimes I think if you look at those ships, they do look like they're very fast. And they might go faster in the Gulf Stream if the sails are down. I mean, I think sometimes the sail might be slowing down. But this captain here, he got as far as Cape Fear. We all know where Cape Fear is right now, right off the mountain. And so when he got to Cape Fear, he began to notice how the land looked. And so if you notice on the, when he got to Cape Fear River, he noticed how the land headed north, and then a little ways up, it started going east. And it run east right on to right here. Okay? And then it's almost like a 90 degrees, not quite. Actually, Corbank heads about northeast of us. He noticed how that land came right here, stopped right at the corner, and then it continued on up. Now, 60 years later, this is 1584 now, Arthur Barlow. Y'all remember him in high school? I don't think they teach history in high school like I had. We had a lot of, I remember a lot of stuff when I started looking it up. So, Arthur Barlow came along 60 years later, same route, and right by Cape Fear River, and here he comes on the East Coast. And so he wanted to go ashore. So they stopped and went ashore. And what they found was native Indians here. That weird music you heard was supposed to be, Indian flute music, Some of it sounds good, some of it kind of gets on the nerves. Anyway. That's what he did. And now we're the next captain came along was the next year. And this is where it gets interesting. This guy's name was Ralph Lane. That bring back in memory? Ralph Lane had a lot of ships with him, had a lot of men with him and women. And he was over here for Walter Riley. He wanted to serve quite yet, they just called him Walter Riley. So he was over here trying to find a place for these people to sell. Well, when he got here, the steam had already cleaned most of our islands. Long Shackler, all these islands, steam already said they're mine. Well, guess what? We were talking about Spanish horses. The Mustangs, every time they got to Shackler Bank, that's where they come from. As far back as 1585, and we'll say 400 years. We'll say they've been here for 400 years. That's more than 400 years. So that is true. And some people say, well, I know like 15 years ago they did a DNA analysis of the ponies over here, and they were not related to any other horses in North America. And the closest relative they had was horses in northern Spain. So I don't know how much evidence you need in that. Well, anyway, what Ralph did, because Spain was here, he was afraid that they would come up behind him and, try to in battle while they were. So when he got here when I say the hook of the cape, men and women, I'm talking about if you look on the Bible, if you look on the map, it's called Lookout Bible. We look, we just call it the hook. Everybody hear that? The hook of the cape. Everybody knows what the hook of the cape is. It's a very deep harbor. That's what he told Walter Raleigh. A very deep harbor. Matter of fact, he didn't have to send out any boats to test the bottom. That was a practice they did. If they weren't sure about the bottom, they would send a small boat out, and he either had they would drop something in the water or sometimes with a pole, salmon, and pull it salmon in the bottom. So when he got here, that was not necessary. Very strange. Before Ralph got here, he encountered a storm right off of Cape Fear. Y'all know the show of Cape Fear? What's it called? Frying Pan. Frying Pan, Cape Lookout shows. And all up north of us, of course, is Diamond Shoals. So he almost capsized right there. But anyway, he kept sailing for a day. Well, and that's where he found his harbor a day away. Well, it's only about 85 miles by water to the Cape. So he could have done that very easily in one day. So more than likely, that's where he was right there and took to the Cape. Now, the interesting thing that he noted was they could do maintenance on their ships. So I'm thinking, if he anchored very close to the shore, guess what? The tide fell, and she lay there ground. So all of her bottom was exposed for 4 or 5 hours. They could clean barnacles off, they could repaint it, and the next day they could do the other side because the tide would come in back and forth. Matter of fact, growing up right here on the island, Reverend Lewis, his father was McKinley Lewis, and he had a 40-foot boat, a Rhinestone boat called Miss Lewis. And I remember the kid, several days, he would come ashore as far as she would, what they call the reef. Old timers, they didn't say shoal, they say he's right to the reef. Tide would fall, she would roll over, he would prop her up, clean that side of it, paint her right in the water. Next day, he did the other side. So that was a practice that they did back then. The problem, the keel didn't get much attention. The bottom of the keel, that's the first thing that went. But anyway, so that's what Ralph did, or what he found. The next thing he did, because the spring was here, he started leaving men behind on lookout posts. Get that word? He started leaving behind down on these points to be a lookout. That way, if the Spaniards come in, they could be warned, and they could do whatever's necessary. So I'm thinking that word lookout stuck for all these years, and that's probably where that came from. Now, 2 years later, Francis Drake, we all know Francis Drake, he came with more people, and he came the same way. The other thing was he went a little bit further up, and he went in what he called the Pamlico, which we know Pamlico River, Pamlico Sound, right up here. And a couple of weeks ago, there was an article on Facebook, Melvin Robinson wrote in 1946, arguing, and he's got a good point there that the lost colony could very well be right here in Cedar Island. So there you go, good thing, Now you will say I'm crazy what I'm going to tell you here, but when I cross Norfolk Bridge in daylight, I look this way on this side every time. And sometimes I can see Fort Banks, plain as day. Next day I can't see it. The next day I might see more of it or less of it. So what I'm saying, even on nice days, you can lose track of where you are around here because of tide. Tide comes up, you got to figure the curve of the earth that tide comes up, it's going to hide something right over here, just 30 or 40 feet high, especially that far away. So that's where we are right now. I'm going to show you those. This is Barlow. Looks like a queen, doesn't it? They dressed with the cake, didn't go with you. This is Lane. This is Ralph Lane. And he looks like he's ready to do the more with that helmet on. And this is Francis Drake. Okay? Okay? Does like but that's probably something, another they came over here and not very deep across the Atlantic Ocean, I would think. I know years ago we went up to York, New York, and they had a wreck of one of those ships. And we went in, and guess what? They could not stand up inside the cabin of that ship. That ceiling was really about this high. So they were very, very small people back in that day. Okay? I couldn't, no, I would have to stay, I would have to eat my lunch up on the top of the mast. They would have to seat it up to me. Okay, here is, not sure who did this map, but this is typical of what they did. And if you think about it, here, look at the hood, how they got the hood roll right here. See how that comes right there? It does look like a hood, doesn't it? They did pretty good because all they had was something like this right here. I mean, this is all they had. Look through here. There's a table with food. No, that's what they had. I mean, it was really. I mean, you know, they really did amazing stuff to get here back and forth. Of course, they were good back and forth. Here's another one here. Pretty sure this is probably Cape Hatteras. We should be right down in this area. Like right here, can't really tell what it is here. Now this one here, this was taken by Apollo 9 in 1969. I think it's 115 miles high. And what could they do if they had that? Now a friend, Mary posted this on Facebook, and a friend, this Coach Waters, said she was working with Duke Lab, and they were doing an almanac. She was helping with doing an almanac, and she said this same photograph, they could focus that in closer, and they could see the shells on the end of the shell point. How about that? Yep. I'm pretty sure they can see one of my junk boats in my backyard. They can see the shell. So anyway, now we see, here's Beaufort Inlet. Of course, here's the Cape. I can't see it good here, but I can already tell the look of the Cape has got larger since this photograph. A whole lot larger. Well, I say larger, the land has got more to the west. And of course, you've got Drum Inlet right here. That's Hooker Cove. This is Hooker Cove Inlet. Hatteras Inlet. And here you go on up. Here is Oregon Inlet all the way up here. Here's Mesquite Lake and Hamilton Sound. A lot of people ask me to Cape sometimes, Heber, what's the most dramatic thing that's happened around here that changed a lot of things. And I tell them the 33 storm has to be. Because right here is the first drain after the hurricane. They drained out right through here. So prior to that, the rock shack banks came all the way here and connected with Cape Lookout. Okay? Now back then, they had people living in both of these areas. I always wondered what did they consider Cape Lookout then and Diamond City. It was all one land then. Of course, right here has really gone way, way over here. Right here, that's going way over here. Probably in the 40s, I was thinking. This is a recent photograph. Look at the difference. But if you see this photograph, you can very easily see the deep water they were talking about. Look right here. Look right now how that shows up. Here's a little channel, and all the way around here. You kind of have to go around the devil's elbow to get out there. But here is where the deep water is. During the summertime, we see huge Noble ship, all types of craft, Coast Guard covers, anchor in there, no problem. Sit there as long as they want. Right there. All right, this is from, you're looking back towards, this is Shacker, Arkansas over here. See how it's closed up a lot? The way it was on those other pictures. Okay, so now, from 1650 to 1700, a lot more people started moving in our town from the west. Okay, you won't call them dingbaggers, it's all right. They did, and we were dingbaggers. If you think about it, all of our kin were people that moved from off, you know. So there we are. So it was a need for a lighthouse. And let me see if I can find that letter of Congress. Here you go. You somebody, can you read that, Camille, where you are?
Yeah. It is supposed there is no part of the American coast where vessels are more exposed to shipwreck than they are in passing along the shores of North Carolina in the neighborhood of those shoals. 1806.
Well, right. So 1806. There's your letter to Congress. Come back, we got a problem. Now this is an artist drawing of that first lighthouse. It was only just a little over 100 feet high. Had red and white stripes around it, and the light at the top was actually they were in a circle. There was candles in a circle. And before we cut the cake, I want to try to do that circle with our thumb, watching the thumbs, and have a little bit of fun with that. So we'll try to do that. So that's what it was. It did not flash or anything, so it was hard to see, even at nighttime and daytime, only 100 feet high. And the shoals are 10 or 12 miles offshore. And then again, when you look at over the water in the long distance, that water actually, sometimes you can see it looks like the water is moving, you know? You look through a spyglass, it looks like the water's doing this. So that even cuts down even more. But it was over there to the Cape for 47 years. Sure was. So it had a lot of shipwrecks, a lot of people losing their lives out on the Cape and the Back Shoals. So they decided to replace it. And I don't know why they didn't never name it Cape Lookout Lighthouse. It was always called the 1812 Lighthouse. I don't know. Maybe that's just one thing, that it was always called the 1812 Lighthouse. It took them 8 years. It started in 1804, it was finished in 1812, a very long time, to build a lighthouse. I think $20,000, I'm thinking about that neighborhood, to build it. It was wood construction. The bottom of it was cement. As a matter of fact, if you go to the Cape, even when we ride by the backside of it, you can see up on the sand dune, a little bit of debris. That's where it's sitting, not very far from the lighthouse we have now, very close to it. So this lighthouse here was to be the prototype. There was not any lighthouses built like this before until Cape Lookout. Never been tried before. This was something new. And so that's what our lighthouse is. I'm going to start right here because I'm not sure if we have any more pictures of the full-length lighthouse. I'll just tell you two, three things what you're looking at right here. If you'll notice, the windows are kind of spread out. They're not in uniform except for on the east side and the west side. And I'll show you. I've got something to explain that. Okay, the diamonds, the very bottom diamond, white diamond, is the largest diamond over there. Now, you can't see it because of that sand dune. Same thing when you pull up the boat, you don't see all that white diamond or the diamond either. So it's kind of optical illusion. So anyway, that bottom diamond is 60 feet high. I measured myself. No, I didn't. I really tried to skin up a rule of it one day, and that didn't work. The reason I know it's 60 feet, I have learned in my years of drawing wire, you can take an object, if you know how long it is, you can scale that down, and you can figure out what it is in between. And the reason I know it's 60 from the base, From the base way down here, all the way to where they start is 130 feet. Okay? So I scale that out. The bottom one is 60. That one is 40. I'm talking about this length right here now, not the width of it, but the height of it. 60, 40, 30. There you go, 130 feet. Yes, that's him. Let me go to the next thing here. The lighthouse had in it, the first light was what they call Cornell lens. The first order, they were made over France, over Europe. This is pretty close to what was in the lighthouse. This is the first order. They are about 8 foot high. They have over 1,000 individual pieces of glass in them. Okay? And you take that oil lamp inside of that. You take an oil lamp inside of that, burning, and pretty soon that glass is going to get nasty. It's going to happen. So the lighthouse keepers had to trim the wick every 4 hours. Okay? Otherwise, you all know how to do kerosene lamps do in houses, you know. And people walk in and say, "Hey, don't you smell that kerosene?" No. Well, then, you know, you get used to it. It can kill you. But anyway, they had to trim over here when they had that one, they had the wick. They had to trim it every 4 hours so it would burn clear. The fuel, they used whale oil, they used kerosene, different things that became available. But it took about 10 gallons a night. So that's 2 5-gallon cans they had to keep up there in the lighthouse to keep that burning. This is the present light we have over now. It's called an LED light. It is right here. See right here? That's it. Compared, how about that big one here? When we had the aerial beacon light, one everybody loves, it's rotated, $90,000 a year to keep that thing burning, all electricity. So you can see very well why it's so much cheaper. It is solar power, this one is here too, okay? But guess what? Another day it went down because it was lighting. So, you know? So that's the light in it now. And it has a flash pattern. When I say flash pattern, it comes on and off every 15 seconds. You can set a switch clock right by it. It will be right on the line. Okay? And that's very important because at night, mariners go by us, look at that light, they can look on the nautical chart, and it will tell them it is a Cape lighthouse. Didn't have that before. A matter of fact, go back. As a matter of fact, the diamonds were not put on this lighthouse until 1873. Okay, so it was there a while. It was probably just red bricks. If you go scratch the surface of it right now, you will see red bricks. Just like this right here. So that was a problem because lighthouses down that way and up this way were red too. So the government decided, you know, we got to change and get the color on them. Now, some of our lighthouses now are left white. Open Cove is left white. Currituck is left natural too. The rest are different colors, and they call that day marker. They call that a day marker. I got a message today about the diamonds. Heber, I always heard they're supposed to be Cape House. Yep, I did too. All my life, excuse me, all my life, my parents are living now. And I went over there, first came Dad to say, "Why in the world, how did they mess that up?" Then diamonds should be to Cape Paris because of diamond shows. They did, more time, but they would not let that rest. You know, they would not do it. And so anyway, it was a random selection though, is how they went about doing it. And it was kind of held up because of the Civil War. Okay, the lighthouse was finished in 1859, and the Civil War broke out in 1860. So it's a little time there, they really couldn't do much with it, but finally in 1873, they changed the colors. And so that's what we got. The black diamonds are true north and south, the white diamonds are true east and west. Right on the money. Okay? Well, I'll start right here, we can see right here. This is on the east, this is the east side, right? So we're looking west. And if you want to notice, you got a window right here in the service room, you got a window right here, and you got one right here. That are perfectly in a line, just as straight as you want to draw. On the other side, on the west side, the same thing. That's the only two places they are in a line. So in the summer months, if you look at the sunlight that comes across the beach and shines on the lighthouse, it will cover those windows. It will cover them in the evening. Right now, they don't. Because the sun, or we are around this way. So they don't quite get to them like it does in the summer months. So I'm thinking, well, did they know this when they built the lighthouse, or did they look at the sun for 2 years? They could watch the sun, what it was doing as they were building the lighthouse. So did the sun dictate where the winds would be? I kind of think they might have. Okay? Because the windows, that's why they look out of place, because the diamonds were put in after the windows were installed. You know what I'm saying? They weren't like they were done together. The windows were put here like the one, and then along came the diamonds. You all cold out there? I'm not. So on the west side, very same thing. On the back side, the windows, there's 10 windows in the lighthouse. There's 10 full-size diamonds in the lighthouse. Okay? There's 7 landings, and we have 7 lighthouses along our coast. You know, coincidence, I know. But anyway, the windows on the south side are higher up. And if you think about the sun, when it passes us, it is high in the sky in the middle of the day. So why would they need lights? Why would they need windows down lower on the ground? Don't make sense, but it does if they're up high. It was over 75 years before any type of electricity came to the lighthouse. So all the years they depended on sunlight to light that lighthouse. Now they may have lamps or whatever, but no power came over there for about 75 years. This was taken last Christmas when we do a trip over to the Cape during the holidays, and this was taken one night. This is the LED light. Not focused very good, but this is a little bit better right here. So it does put out a bright light. Now it cannot be seen offshore with about 14 miles. The previous light was about 18 or 19 miles. I know that for sure, but I've been out there that far. A long time ago, but it was bright to see, and my buddy Google Harvest, I said, how far offshore? Now he said 19 miles. And that's a lot of water to drink to get back to Cape Point, I know that. But it was. This is actually the sunlight on one of the panels. In the afternoon, when we used to go sunset trips, we could get a certain spotlight into the hook, and the sun would do that, and everybody liked that. But that's the sunlight on it right there. Okay. Now here's a very early picture of the lighthouse. Not any sand dunes around, no trees, just a barren beach, like a desert. Okay. I'm thinking that is the. We'll start right here. There's a good shot here. You can kind of see how they've got it kind of fenced in here. Little square here. All right here. This is the garden house. And that was built there in 1907. And they used it until 1958. It went on an auction. And Robert Barton and his friend, the pharmacist, they bid $600 on it when they got it, because everyone put a bid on it. He has to lend it more money to get it moved down the shore where it is now. At one time, there was a keeper and an assistant keeper in the quarters we have over there now. And then later they built that house to sort of separate families. Remember now, if you was to take a look at it as a keeper or assistant keeper, that was your life. That was your. You did not knock off 5 o'clock, come home and watch the evening news, and cook pancakes. No, you stayed to take a look at it, because from then on was when you were needing most. You did not know who was passing by out here what happened, you had to be there. You had to be on the job. So that's why they did that. Of course, now the word order is down right here, right there. You see these poles right here? If you see them or not, this is light poles. Let me go back. You see some poles right here? Yeah, there we go. Right here. See them? That is telegraph line. Growing up, when we used to go to Sacramento to go fishing, we were across the beach, those poles there had wires on them. Well, we thought it was power, it was not. It was a telegraph line. That's how they communicated Fort Macon all the way down the beach, all the way up to Portsmouth, is where they're actually running. Now, the neat thing about the poles, when you get away with the poles, it was up around the Atlantic, guess what? They took those light poles, and then they goose screws out of them. They were already shaped out, just do a little bit to the front, put a head on them, perfect decoy. Didn't have to put no weight underneath them. He would sit right there in a hard enough fishing. That hurt. Just a better shot here. Still a lot, you can see the poles a little bit better. See them right here? And right here, they go all the way up to the Coast Guard station. Matter of fact, there's a little road that you could drive all the way up here. Here's the summer kitchen, still out there. That's where it was. And these two buildings were really close to it. They were against the whole idea because they figured in time to come it would wash away, because now you've got the ocean and you've got 2 low tides and 2 high tides every day on this end of the beach, where before it was over in it. So they were against the whole idea, and it had done exactly what they said it would do over these 7, 8, or 9 years. Now I want to get to the construction. And if you will look right here, you see the end of the brick. What you see right here, right? That's what you're looking at. From right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see it again. Between them, they're like this. Okay? Now this is called a stretcher, and this is called a header. Okay? And we've always heard that the lighthouse was double walls, or here is your double wall. Fire is plain and simple. So what you see right here, in my little demonstration, you all see that right here? See what they did? The thing about a brick is it has to be sized. If you think about a brick, it has to be sized that 2 of them will fit this way, like the header, or 3 will fit this way, right on top of this brick. So they had to be a particular size. And that counts some mortar to them. This one here is 7.5/8, where they had 3/8 mortar to it. Okay? So that brings you out to 8 inches. Okay? So understand that, how they're sized. Okay. Now, it's hard. It's hard. This way over there. You know, the David's corner. It's hard to see because this is on, just, you know, you're standing around. But as it goes up, and I will find this in another photograph, instead of 5 stretchers, it becomes 3 stretchers. And that's where the lighthouse gets a little bit thinner. And the walls are a little bit less. They tell us they're 9 feet wide. Well, if you look at the prints of it, there is a cavity between them down to the bottom. And one of my unreliable sources, I'll say that. And it may be true, but he says that his grandparents always said a man fell in the lighthouse. They couldn't get him up, they couldn't get him back. Well, if there was a cavity there, they couldn't get him back. If they were near the top, 100 feet, if he fell through, how were they going to get him out without turning, you know? So it could be true, but that's just, you know, one of my unreliable sources. This inside of the lighthouse, you see a little bit red. See right here? There's your headers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they are again right here. This is in the sky around now. So it comes all the way through. They kept that practice all over the lighthouse as they built it. It's hard to see, even because there's so much paint on it. We are here in 7 or 8 coats of paint on it over these years. So it's kind of hard to see it, unless you know kind of what you're looking for. A little bit better shot right now. You sit right here. Then you're going up, you go 5, and down again, all the way up. Well, that has a name. It's called an English pond, is what it's called. That's one of the strongest ways to build a wall. So those masons knew what they're doing. They knew what they were doing. This is the keeper over there now, built the same way. This little boy right here, see he's painting on that right there, he's showing right here. See what you got here? Build up, now they are again. Right up. So that's built the same way. That little boy's name was Clay. From like bricks and clay, and he lives in Clayton. How about that for coincidence? Yep, Clay from Clayton. Never know if I tell you. Another shot, this is down the side of the keeper's quarters. Now, interesting thing about the keeper's quarters, we hear all the time when we pull up, they'll say, this is the original lighthouse, the original keeper's quarters, built in 1873. No, it is not. If you look at that cake has got the original keeper's quarters on it. It was set way over from where the lighthouse is now. This was built in 1873. It was built a year after Body Island was built. And so what bricks was left over from that lighthouse built this house. Okay? So they're the same brick. I think this is the first part of the lighthouse, personally, because here's a lot of stuff going on right here. Here's your wall, your upper wall right here. Now, used to, I did not notice that from out in the water, because it's painted black, hard to see it. What you're looking at is the floor to the service room. The room goes all the way across the lighthouse right there, and that's where it comes out on the other side, all the way around. That's the floor. From here up is about 5 feet. That's the service room. This shape here is called a capital. Where it comes up, and I only use the word flyer, where it flies out, it's called capital. And you know, our Capitol building has got this all over the column. Maybe where the word came from. I thought I'd see some other word, but that's what they called it. All of this right here is bricks. They're all turned like they have stacked on top of each other, and you see how far out to go. This is about 30 inches high, so about this high, and they stick out about 16 inches. And what that allows is to see how much larger this is than the top of the lighthouse. So that allows a little bit more of the lighthouse to be set on that, and a lot heavier stuff too. All this is iron, cast iron, very heavy stuff. Inside here, those panes probably weigh 1,000 pounds, just glass, right here. Another shot. Here's something interesting too, right here. They pull, in the building world, they call this a lintel. But most of the time they're made out of steel. And then they set bricks on top of it. But in this case, they probably didn't have steel. So this concrete, somehow they poured it, that's kind of rough. Now that allows the extra weight to be put on top of it. Otherwise, it might crush that window. But see how it sets on each side of it, so it's very strong. I call that a lintel. Okay, this is the one where you can see it changes to 3 bricks where it's 5. It was right in here. And I really didn't know it till that they put this up here. That's how I paid my eyes. And I said, here. So you got your headers, 1, 2, 3. See right here? 1, 2, 3, and there's your headers. So it gets smaller right as it gets to the top. You got to remember, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here's a good shot. This window right here is about where the outer walls meet the stairwell wall. You understand me? The stairwell wall is 8 foot inside the diameter, and it's got to be plumb. And what I mean by plumb, any way you look at it, it's got to be plumb. Otherwise, it's going to be chilly. So that's where the two walls. Now the outside wall is pitched in by 2.5 degrees. Looks more than that, but that's what it is. So that's where the outside wall meets the stairwell wall. So that's why the wall is only about this thick from here on up. Okay? Otherwise, it would have a big bulge up there, so it would not look very good at all. So that's about that. That's about where it stopped, right in that window, right here. Those windows are very simple wood windows. I think they leak. I believe they have to leak. There's not much glazing around them. You know, they're not. You would think a window would be kind of like this, or a rain bit, they're just right on the wall. Nowadays, a window, like a window now in a house, below the window, called a seal, they'll have bricks like this. It won't be like this, it'll be like this. They call that rowlocks. Okay? Above the windows, they're like this. They call them soldiers. Okay? You've got rowlocks under the window. Above the windows, you've got soldiers. If you turn this way, they're called sailors. So everybody's covered. Right? Like I said, that white diamond on this side and that side, they're equal. Same size, same size, same size. These here, you've got to go on the other side for them to be the same size. If you think about it, it was pretty easy if you think about laying diamonds off. Find the circumference of the top, circumference of the bottom. You're going to have four diamonds divided into 4. So you've got a starting point at the top and an ending point to the bottom. The very top one, I think, is the only one that is perfectly square. As you look at them, they look elongated because the way it turns out. And Sonny Williams, y'all remember Sonny Williams used to be over with the mule train. He told me one time, he said, Heber, the whole lighthouse is supposed to be checkers. I said, Sonny, he said, they're supposed to be square checkers. And I said, what happened? They started to the top. They had a pattern. They held the pattern up. They had a man over here, a man over here. And this guy, for some reason, dropped his hand. And when it swung, that was a diamond. And they said, boys, that's good enough to go. But the same story. He never changed it. But he was right on the top. It wouldn't work anywhere else, but he was right about the top. How that turned out. See, I'm talking about the windows. Very simple windows. This is in the stairwell. And then again, you look right here, there they are, right there. There's your headers. There they are right there. You go on up, there's some more right here. So that is your double wall. This is in the lighthouse coming on up to the top. And I mentioned just now about a cavity. Guess what that is right there? Guess what that is right there? It's exhaust. It's exhaust. So there could very well be a cavity in the lighthouse, and that gives it somewhere to breathe so the air can get out of it. So it could be why unreliable source could be reliableness. You know? That's okay. That's as you going on up, and once you get up, it's kind of aggravating how you have to crawl out of it. Above here, above Sanders, and his wife went to overcoat, they took a trip, and pushing down, I saw on Facebook. I said, Bubba, take me a picture inside of the overcoat lighthouse. I believe that's it. Now, is it good? I think this is overcoat lighthouse. Look here, same break, same way, all the way up. How's your headers, how's your 3 stretchers, all the way up. Okay? A little bit better shot, same thing. More there. Right there. Now this is Cape Hatteras. Cape Hatteras is very hard to tell because it's inside. But if you look on that wall, right over there, look. There you are, right there. It's like take a look at it. And then in 1999, they moved Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. I watched that. I enjoy watching that every day. I find the best time to watch them move that lighthouse. Incredible thing, what they did. So they dug down. They had to get to the foundation, about 7.5 feet when they got their lumber. Yellow pine, 6 by 12, stacked on top of each other, was holding that lighthouse up. I guarantee you, Cape Hatteras got the very same thing. It was in water too. We have a very high water table to these islands. You know, horses can dig down about this far, they got fresh water. So all these islands are very close. The fresh water is very high up. Of course, Cape Hatteras was actually set in water for all those many, many years. Another shot. You can tell a little bit better right in here. See right here? Or that black. Here's the header. There's some more right up in here. I like this one. I think that's pretty Hatteras. How they got that. Some more. This Heber Guthrie. This was actually a picture of a picture. It didn't turn out very good, but this is the barn house, and it was sitting out there by the lighthouse. And there's some people walking up. I think some people from Moorhead, my uncle took the picture, so I'm sure some of the Turner generation. Any y'all Turners from Moorhead City? Yeah, I think that's the end. Walking. Look at the poles here. Look how far they are in Barnes House on dry sand. Amazing, isn't it? And it's happening right before our eyes, too, okay? So these are some numbers I put together. Cape Hatteras, it took 2.5 million bricks to build Cape Hatteras. We are about 20% smaller. In other words, Cape Hatteras is 193 feet high. We are 163 feet high. This lighthouse, the base is 28.5 feet diameter. It's about 13 feet at the top. So we're about 20% smaller than Cape Hatteras. So if you look at the 20%, it's about 2 million bricks. We figure it to build. So you take the 2 million bricks and you can boil it down in weight. Right there, 4,500 ton. Cement. All these numbers are based on like 1,000. Real easy to find on Google what it takes to do 1,000 bricks. It's all based on 1,000. Cement, 320 ton. Sand, 2,800 ton. And I just estimated the steel, so we're right at 7,920 tons, almost the weight of the U.S. destroyer. And pretty close to the weight of the Eiffel Tower. Very, very heavy structure. And no wonder it's not moving. Several weeks ago, we had an engineer over there that was doing some surveying on the lighthouse, and the word came that he took a shot at the, vertical. It was this far off. Can you see my hand? It was that far off. A plane. In 163 years. Okay? Pretty incredible. Okay. There was no trees over there until, even up until the mid-60s because they led horses and cattle over there. A lady told us when they were stored that she lived stayed in the Barnes house in 58, 59, and she said one morning they woke up, there's two horses right in front of the house. So yeah, they were removed, and then in 1969, Boy Scout troops, mostly from down east, came over. They had pine saplings. I remember they used to give it to us in elementary school, go home, plant a tree, and so that's what they started out with. And so they did amazing thing. Now we have to give birds credit to them. Because you know what birds will do with that seed once it develops and matures, they'll eat that seed. And they might not fly in this building and they'll drop that seed. And most of the time it's already fertilized. So when it gets in the sand, pretty soon you've got another tree from that. So you have to give birds a lot of credit to them. If you'll notice, even from Shell Point, the trees have like a mountain range shape. They're kind of low on the north end and they sweep and they go back low on the south end. Well, what causes that is the salt spread. The winter months are prevailing winds from the northeast, summer months from the southwest, just opposite. So they get a dose of salt, whether they need or not. And that pretty much trims them. As it comes through lower trees, it just goes over and just shoots down the backside. So that's probably as high as it'll ever get. There's two places very close to us, believe it or not. Over in Gloucester, there is a creek called White's Creek, and to the mouth of that creek is always been called Brickyard Landing. Matter of fact, one night climbing about 10 foot up the shoreline, there were bricks around. I wish I'd have got them, but there they were. And so, an old friend of mine, Jay Brown, you all know Jay, and passed away, so he was very smart about stuff. He said that he remembered there's a keel just past where you turn by Dead Boulders, you go that way, going to Gloucester, and you pass a little creek, and that little, where the road kind of was, that little creek goes up in the trees. He said up in there was a keel at one time. The sand on Browns Island, perfect. Different sand on Browns Island than anywhere else. Like running different sand over there. So very well, and I've also got a wood home in Otway that had a keel years back. Okay? So I've gone over some stuff. I see some stuff on the table here. I want to kind of show you some of the stuff here. When them people from off the right here, and here's Indians, they were peaceful. There's no report of any kind of wars or anything. They were very peaceful. Nobody owned any property back then. Think about it. Nobody had a deed for anything. You just lived where you wanted to. You lived where you wanted to. You all got along. You shared the waterways and all that stuff. But the Indians taught our people a lot. They taught them how to build boats, canoes. And this right here is what you call a natural need. This was built, This came out of one tree. If you'll notice the grain of the wood, comes right here and turns to the bottom. Perfect shape for side and bottom of the skin. Right? Okay? They showed us stuff like that. It's called a natural need. There's no joint here, so it's a lot stronger. Once the grain turns as the wood turns. Okay? I got this after Hurricane Matthew out of Miss Lily's yard over Springs. I'll second. Yes, it is. Something else they show you how to do is how to make a gill net with this and a needle. Two things right here to make all this net. And my grandma used to say, after it got cold, the women made nets all through the winter, getting ready for the spring when the fishing come along. Okay? And see right here. I tell you, I don't think they can do it in your bedroom. Japan, I tried to. I mean, they're perfect. And if you want a bigger gill net, you make this a little bit bigger. Okay? This was called a feed. What I've always been told, called a feed. Okay? So they can make that. Over to the Cape, you have what we call Cape anchors, which live on the Cape. And then you had people on Shackford, which they were mostly in Diamond City. But when people started coming here, there was actually people on Harper's Island, Shackford Banks, Forest City, all of these islands here. There were people living here. And they didn't have 2,000 to 3,000 square foot homes. Most of them lived in something really small. And what they would do, as the season would change, they would actually move. If the fishing moved up north, they went with it. They didn't wait, they went wherever they had to go to catch fish or whatever. I have read in 1850, over at Cape Lookout, that particular season was the largest amount of mullets ever caught on record. All of it down the East Coast. Well, I think this week the boys might have topped that. I heard 800 boxes. That's a lot of mullets. Two crews together, 800 boxes of mullets. So they're still here. And we still let it go boating. Randy Ramsey, he started his business building boats. Most of these boys work for commercial fishermen, and they will work until the mullets come. And he always told me when the mullets jump, the hammers fall. Which he meant they quit. It's the truth. You know, how they do the solar path, it's been going on 4,000 years already. They just love to do it. A friend of mine, this is probably a half scale of a sextant. And it gets its name because it's 1/6 of a circle. So it's based on 60 degrees. And this lens right here, you can see through this side, but this side's got the mirror in it. And this, you look through this scope. Now, this is only good, you have to see the horizon. Don't do good here. You've got to be where you can see the horizon. This came along about 1750. Okay, so once these sailors got this in their hand, they could pretty much tell where they were. It took a lot of mathematics, but they could do it. I've heard even now, Navy and those guys can come with less than a mile where you are using the sextant. This here arm moves, so it moves. So what you do, you get a sight on the horizon, and you look through this one at the sun in the daytime. And see, they got little filters here. Well, when they first started using them, they did not have filters on them. So you see all these pirates in movies where the patch over his eye? He lost his eye looking at the sun through one of these things. Okay? Now, we're in no battle. He was trying to find out where he was. And you take the sun, and this is magnified right here too, see? So it even made it brighter. So this was a neat little tool that came along in the 1750s. They call this celestial navigation. Actually, in darkness is better because you've got more spots to take a reading from. Okay? If you've got 5 or 6, you're going to get a closer place where you are than if you just got the sun during the daytime. There is a map that goes with it, I've been told, and it positions where the sun is during that particular day. So if you have the right kind of time when you take your reading, you have the right kind of particular time to really get it accurate. Has anybody else got anything? Please Have I confused everybody? Has anybody learned? Have you all learned just a couple things? Well, good. Tell people things you know about the Cape, because it's a lot. We don't know. We have over to the Cape in the Park Service, they got what we call a Junior Ranger. It's a pamphlet. It's got questions on it, but I can't look at it. Well, I took one to middle school and put it on the table with the copies of it, the bishop eyes, how little the kids knew about Cape Cod. And there were multiple choice questions too. I mean, he was answering. I could even in my mode, it happened right. But it's, you know, we just not educate our kids about that kind of stuff. Well, I'd like to do just 2 more little things, maybe 3. You all got cell phones on them? I need about 13 people with cell phones, just your little light works. Huh? Let's get right here in a circle. We're gonna do what that very first lighthouse looked like. So we're gonna get in a circle right here. Everybody got the light on? You don't have to get everybody about the same height. You're really good. You got to do that. Anyway, the very first light, that's all the light we have. Start taking candles now. Think about a candle, not very bright at all. So that's what they had. Yeah, now let's try to get a little bit closer. And we'll do this light. Okay? How about some more? You might want to join in. Come on. More there. More there right here. This all got to do. I know what I want to do now because this one here, This one here, right, essentially, it has a flash pattern of 15 seconds. Okay? So once you turn the lights off, right, and I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, and turn them on. And leave them on, and we'll go 3, 2, 1, so do about 15 seconds. And you can shut them down. Understand what I'm doing? Won't come on, about 3 seconds, I'm gonna do this, and come on. And then I'll go 3, 2, 1, turn back on. I got to verify. You ready? Everybody ready? All right. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Come on. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. 3, 2, 1. Shut them off. How you go? Y'all did very well. You're all right. All right, let's go get some eggs.